Here's a GameCube arcade with real hardware and an era-specific TV. This GameCube has an optical disc emulator, so all games are streamed off an SD card. The GameCube hardware doesn't know the difference between the disk drive and this, and also attached is the Game Boy player. And thanks to the ODE, we don't need a game player disc, we can launch a better alternative using Swiss. It's pure GameCube, it's hardcore like the GameCube. Dark Souls is cozy casual compared to Monkey Ball on the GameCube, and hardcore games get hardcore controllers, like this. But that's not hard enough. Remember the Monkey Ball arcade cabinet? Zoom in on that.
Yeah, that's a joystick.
Well, look at this. I've done it. Where was I? Something about the Game Boy player? A Game Boy that's not portable is the one I want to play. I mean, I wish it was this, but maybe another day. And I know what you're thinking, this banana joystick is garbage, isn't it? I'll level with you, it is a banana. But I can explain. I've been working on a Hall Effect arcade joystick for Sanwa sticks, using a triple axis magnetometer paired with a 12-bit DAC. That works, but not well enough yet. So while that project bakes longer, I have something else I want to talk about regarding this arcade. Before this, there was the Quasicon circa 2005. This 425-pound monster was a kit arcade centered around a 27-inch CRT and a plug-and-play arcade controller for the GameCube, Xbox, and PS2 with internal storage to house your favorite console. I'm so sorry, my dear friend. You change this DB25 plug on the control panel to the respective console you want to play, but this, what is this? So in this arcade, in particular the control panel, it was designed to do everything but specialize in nothing. I found it at a thrift store and I saved the guts thinking I could build a slightly more focused control panel and build a matching GameCube arcade. Maybe fix some of the weird layout choices in the process. Easy. 7 years later, I remember why I didn't start 7 years ago. And wow, what the fuck is going on with this controller? First, everything is busy. There's wires everywhere, and it took some time to map out what these wires were going to and how to just make a regular push button work. That's because each button has 3 wires, which I'll explain. After some probing, it's time to make cuts. I made an executive decision to roll back the C-stick to a generation and become a D-pad like the N64. We're not playing first-person shooters here on an arcade. That would be silly, so there's no need for dual analog. The issue at hand is doing this, say you press up and down at the same time on the D-pad, that's kind of an unexpected input from the controller's point of view. And yeah, on this Quasicon hardware plugged into a GameCube, that triggers a hardware fault state for the GameCube. Yeah, the GameCube shuts down. I've never seen the GameCube do this, and well, this was only the beginning of trying to make things work and failing. Things got more complicated because the D-pad, each directional input, has its own return path on the circuit. Like there's no shared ground for up, down, left, right. This complicates things even more. And this shouldn't be difficult. You can take a shortcut approach like this when making arcade controllers. This little controller was made from the guts of a universal DDR dance mat for the 6th console generation. It's missing a few buttons, but it's serviceable in examples like this game. It can't play Monkey Ball, so we can't use this. And continuing to dunk on the Quasicon, there's other things that were very meh. So remember the pressure-sensitive button support on the PlayStation 2? Even though a total of 7 games use this feature, for some reason this was hard baked into the Quasicon controller. You can see it here with these 2 extra pins on this button, and all the buttons are like this. And this is the wiring for every button. And this feature does work as expected. There's these 2 buttons as the left and right triggers for the GameCube. And with this control tester, we can see it work okay. But the buttons just feel odd. They feel like they were lubricated with oatmeal, and they're not pleasant. Analog triggers were common in this era, so this is just a bad execution. I don't really understand why this was standard. In conclusion, this hardware, though promising, doesn't build a great arcade controller for consoles, and I scrapped this control panel entirely. The better way to do it is a pad hack on one of those third-party GameCube controllers. They do have a turbo function that I didn't test, but here's the final project and it's working as expected. The layout is still kind of weird, and this artwork is from something else. I can't think of any GameCube control panel artwork because using this as a reference, the kiosk, I'm just more confused on what the theme is supposed to be. So that's the GameCube arcade, or the Game Boy arcade, or the OEM hardware that can kind of play a few generations of Nintendo stuff. And with the optical disc emulator, it's a great kiosk for single-player gaming. For multiplayer, all the controller ports are accessible at the base of the arcade, and you can just plug in regular GameCube controllers. 4-player mayhem is exactly that on a 13-inch TV, and I think this is the experience I was going for. Well, thanks for watching.